I tasted stone. Not the memory of stone, the mineral fact of it, itandite oxide, the deep earth chemistry of the foundation pushed through my vocal cords and left on my tongue like chalk after a bad fall. My mouth was mine again, but the taste remained, and beneath it the shape of the word I had been forced to say. Holt's word. Her clause. I could feel its outline the way you feel a bruise before it collars pressure first, then meaning. Ray's had her hand on my shoulder. I had not felt her cross the floor. Vance. Are you in there, mostly? I said. My voice was rough. Wrong register. Coming back to my own frequency the way a radio drifts back to the station after interference. It spoke through me. I heard. Rees looked at Holt. The weapon was up again. This time it was not instinct. What did you add to the deal? Holt's eyes were still closed. The 7 glyphs on her wrist were glowing now, all of them, not just the 7th, and the living surface beneath her feet was responding, the warm veins pulsing in a pattern I had not seen before, erratic, irregular. The geological patience I had felt since the surfacing was gone. What replaced it was not rage, it was the careful, measured stillness of something evaluating a contract. Time, Holt said. She opened her eyes. I asked for time, Bello repeated. She was reading her scanner the way a doctor reads a scan, looking for the thing she hopes is not there. What does that mean, time? The terms were simple. It wanted a throat. A permanent translator at the origin. Someone who stays. I agreed. Not permanent, bounded. A human span. One life at the relay, then the next, then the next. Rotation rather than permanence. No one sealed in forever. Silence, or what passed for it, the low vibration of the living surface pressing up through my boots. The distant hum of the door's 4 open faces, the creak of ice far above us. You tried to negotiate a term limit, I said, with something that thinks in geological time. I was 26 years old, Holt said. I had 7 words and no way to know what I was bargaining with. I felt its offer and I understood what permanent meant. Forever. A consciousness locked at the origin for as long as the grid existed. Not a posting, a burial. I could not agree to bury someone alive forever, so I added a word, a limit. 1 human lifetime, then release, then a new voice. The foundation heard her, through me. I felt its attention narrow the way a lens focuses sunlight to a point, and at that point was the word Holt's clause, the concept of bounded time imposed on something that had offered eternity. It was not angry, I want to be precise. What I felt was closer to confusion. 10,000 years of patience, and the first human it had spoken to in all that time had responded to its offer of a permanent voice with a counter, offer it had no framework to understand. Not because the concept was complex, because the concept was small, a human lifetime 70 years 80. The foundation could not pass why anyone would limit a gift to a span so brief it barely registered against the scale of its own existence. The rewrite, Bello said. She held up the scanner. The foundation's half of the sentence is restructuring. It is removing the conditional yes, not replacing it, removing it. The answer is going blank, I felt it. The words on my skin, the foundation's half, the answer to the precursor's question they were lifting. Not painfully, gently, the way a tide goes out. The dark glyphs fading, retreating, the deep watercolor draining to something paler, and in their absence my skin felt cold for the first time since the sentence had begun writing itself. It is withdrawing consent, I said. The deal was permanent, Holt changed. Now it does not know if the deal was ever real. Can you stop it? Rees asked. Practical, direct, looking for the action. I did not know. The sentence was 2 halves, question and answer. The precursor's question was still written on me, silver and steady. But the answer was leaving, and a question without an answer is not a sentence. It is an open wound, and I was the skin it was written on. If the answer withdraws completely, Bello said, the circuit breaks. The translator has no second language. The bridge is one-sided, and a one-sided bridge is just a ledge. The foundation pulsed beneath us, not the slow breath I had felt before, a shorter rhythm, faster rhythm of reconsideration, of a patience that had thinned past its load-bearing point and was deciding, with the vast slow deliberation of something the size of a continent, what to do next. Halt, I said. You need to withdraw the clause. I cannot. Flat. Certain. The word is part of me. It has been for 23 years. It is not a statement I made. It is a glyph I carry. Burnt in. I would have to burn it out, and I do not know what that would do to the 6 beneath it. The dark glyphs on my arms were nearly gone. Pale ghosts. The answer almost fully retracted. The cold was spreading up from my fingertips the way it had in the early days, before the rebuild, when the disease was still winning. My old body remembering what dying felt like. Then the foundation did something it had never done. Not in 10,000 years, not in 23. Not in the weeks I had been carrying its language in my marrow. It wrote a new sentence. Not on me, not on Holt, on itself. The living surface between us split along hairline fractures, and new glyphs rose from below, dark and silver together, interleaved, the foundation's own hand writing directly on its own skin for the first time since the precursors had walked the grid. A third text, not the question, not the answer, something else. A counter-offer, Bello whispered. I dropped to my knees, not from weakness. From need, I pressed my palms flat against the new text, and it was warm, warmer than the door, warmer than my rebuilt skin. and the glyphs moved under my hands like something breathing, and I could read them. I could read the first 3 words. After that, the language changed, shifted into a register I had never encountered, grammar built for meanings my human architecture could not hold, and the 3 words I could read were enough to stop my breath. I looked up at Holt, at Ray's, at Bello, at the door that had grown from the body of the thing beneath us. "It is not negotiating custody of a translator," I said. "It is offering to come up